With leaders like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, we can build back better here at home and once again strengthen our nation's security and standing in the world.
My name is DeMarcus Gilliard. I'm 34 years old, and I currently live in Los Angeles, California. I'm a 2009 graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, and I served on active duty in the Marine Corps as an officer for 6 years. I took an oath to support, uphold, and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. And I know that Joe Biden, in his years of public service, took a similar oath, and he understands the sacrifice of the men and women in uniform who are overseas right now fighting for the ideals of this nation. That liberty.
Liberty? We don't even have liberty in America. More importantly, the U.S. actually supports 73% of the world's dictatorships.
And justice.
Is invading a country to shoot up all its citizens and rob it of its resources really justice? I'm gonna be cordial here by saying that justice is subjective.
Can be extended to all people. I know that Joe Biden understands that at his core. I trust him to lead us on day one into a greater future. There's nothing more important for me right now than making sure that we restore the soul of our nation. And I think that Joe Biden is the best person to do that.
You're clearly not thinking hard enough.
Hi, I'm John Kerry. For the 8 years of the Obama-Biden administration, we led by example. We eliminated the threat of an Iran with a nuclear weapon. We built a 68-nation coalition to destroy ISIS. We forged a 195-nation agreement to attack climate change. We stopped Ebola before it became a pandemic. Donald Trump inherited a growing economy and a more peaceful world.
Come on, we were hardly at peace when Trump came into office.
And like everything else he inherited, he bankrupted it.
That's a good one.
When this president goes overseas, it isn't a goodwill mission, it's a blooper reel. He breaks up with our allies and writes love letters to dictators. America deserves a president who is looked up to, not laughed at. Donald Trump pretends Russia didn't attack our elections, and now he does nothing about Russia putting a bounty on our troops. So he won't defend our country, he doesn't know how to defend our troops. The only person he's interested in defending is himself. This is the bottom line. Our interests, our ideals, and our brave men and women in uniform can't afford 4 more years of Donald Trump.
We can't afford a Warhawk like Biden either.
Our troops can't get out of harm's way by hiding in the White House bunker. They need a president who will stand up for them, and President Biden will. Joe's moral compass has always pointed in the right direction.
Oh, like when he supported invasions of Iraq and Afghanistan?
From the fight to break the back of apartheid to the struggle to wake up the world to genocide in the Balkans, Joe understands that none of the issues of this world, not nuclear weapons, not the challenge of building back better after COVID, not terrorism, and certainly not the climate crisis, none can be resolved without bringing nations together with strength and humility. Joe understands our values don't limit our power, they magnify.
That makes no logical sense. Values formulate desires, and desires make you weak.
He knows you can't spread democracy around the world if you don't practice it at home.
And yet he still listens to Republicans and their corporate donors.
And he knows that even the United States of America needs friends on this planet. Before Donald Trump, we used to talk about American exceptionalism.
We were wrong even back then.
The only thing exceptional about the incoherent Trump foreign policy is that it has made our nation more isolated than ever before.
Yeah, that's what neo-fascists do.
Joe Biden knows we aren't exceptional because we bluster that we are.
We aren't exceptional at all, save for 2 things: our bloated military budget and our belief in supernatural beings.
We are exceptional because we do exceptional things. On June 6, 1944, young Americans gave their lives on the beaches of Normandy to liberate the world from tyranny. Out of the ashes of that war, we made peace and rebuilt the world. That was and remains exceptional. It is the opposite of everything Donald Trump stands for.
I don't disagree, but citation needed.
This moment is a fight for the security of America and the world. Only Joe Biden can make America lead like America again. If you agree, text JOIN to 30330. Thank you.
Fat chance. The world doesn't fall for our antics anymore.
In the Situation Room, presidents make decisions of war and peace. So when Joe Biden walks into the Situation Room, first and foremost in his mind is, how will my decision impact the lives of the American people?
And then he promptly disregards all of that, because something like 99% of all casualties that have anything to do with drone strikes are actually collateral damage.
He is experienced. He has made the tough calls.
He's got courage. He's got tremendous courage, character, judgment, and he can be tough. I witnessed it close up.
Joe Biden is decisive and well prepared for any issue.
There's no one more qualified than Joe Biden to be sitting at the head of the table in this Situation Room making decisions for this country.
No, just like most American politicians, he's too trigger happy.
Having sent his son to war, I don't think anyone can be more ready than Vice President Biden.
He knows exactly what's at stake when he sends our troops overseas.
Then why haven't we pulled out of Afghanistan? Why haven't we pulled out of Iraq? Why haven't we pulled out of Syria?
Biden understands how important it is to have allies standing together with us. They are force multipliers.
Joe Biden has a unique ability to connect with people. He knows the leaders, and he's dealt with them for years, knows what makes them tick.
They trust him, they trust his judgment, and they know that his word is good.
I know that Biden's personal diplomacy will save American lives.
To build these relationships takes decades, and to tear them down, all it takes is a tweet.
Thanks to Donald Trump.
Hey, the idea to meet with Kim Jong-un is completely fine. He botched up the execution, but that's a different matter altogether.
Our adversaries are stronger and bolder.
Donald Trump has had a love fest with dictators, including China and Russia. He hasn't been standing up to them at all.
I served in the United States Air Force for 36 years. I've led space squadrons, nuclear missile squadrons, and I never thought I would have a president who is a danger to national security.
President Trump has degraded and debased the presidency and our country in the eyes of the world.
You're all hypocrites. Democratic foreign policy is barely any better.
The Russians offered bounties on U.S. soldiers. I was shocked when I read that. But the president didn't even ask Vladimir Putin about it. That's un-American.
There's something wrong with that. I mean, that's a dereliction of duty. You're failing the troops. You're failing this country.
The first thing a president needs to do is find out what the facts are. This president doesn't care about facts.
Biden cares about the safety and welfare of American servicemen and women.
The Middle East says otherwise.
Our military had a policy to maintain our presence in Syria. We actually came to the aid of the Kurds against ISIS, and we helped stop the advance. President Trump told us to simply abandon the Kurds.
They're trying to out-Warhawk Trump.
It's shameful.
Joe Biden will be strong against dictators.
Whenever we try to interfere with anything, it always gets fucked up.
I've heard him on the phone with some pretty tough characters. You know, you talk about Joe Biden's empathy, his decency, but Joe Biden is tough as nails, and everybody knows it.
He will do the right thing, no matter the political cost.
Then why are all his domestic policies so fucking tepid? He's either corrupt or incompetent.
I've served for 2 Republican presidents and 1 Democratic president. I have seen the Trump administration make decisions without any thought, without any preparation, that have massive life and death consequences.
At one of the most defining times in the history of the world, Joe Biden is uniquely qualified to be president of the United States.
If you want a strong America, you want Joe Biden.
I don't want a strong America. I want a peaceful America so we can redirect military funds into other places like paying off the national debt or education.
Hi, I'm former Secretary of State Colin Powell.
Why are you here?
The values I learned growing up in the South Bronx and serving in uniform were the same values that Joe Biden's parents instilled in him in Scranton, Pennsylvania. I support Joe Biden for the presidency of the United States because those values still define him, and we need to restore those values to the White House. Our country needs a commander-in-chief who takes care of our troops in the same way he would his own family. For Joe Biden, that doesn't need teaching. It comes from the experience he shares with millions of military families, sending his beloved son off to war.
I don't think that sounds as good as you think it sounds.
and praying to God he would come home safe.
Prayer doesn't
Joe
work.
Biden will be a president we will all be proud to salute. With Joe Biden in the White House, you will never doubt that he will stand with our friends and stand up to our adversaries, never the other way around.
Well, that's by definition true. How could you stand with your adversary?
He will trust our diplomats and our intelligence community, not the flattery of dictators and despots. He will make it his job to know when anyone dares to threaten us. He will stand up to our adversaries with strength and experience. They will know he means business. I support Joe Biden because beginning on day one, he will restore Americans' leadership and our moral authority. He'll be a president who knows that America is strongest when, as he has said, we lead both by the power of our example and the example of our power.
If those aren't the words of a trigger-happy madman, I don't know what is.
He will restore America's leadership in the world and restore the alliances we need to address the dangers that threaten our nation, from climate change to nuclear proliferation. I still believe that in our hearts, we are the same America that brought my parents to our shores, an America that inspires freedom around the world.
Even as we set up fascist dictators all the time?
That's the America Joe Biden will lead as our next president.
It was a friendship that shouldn't have worked.
Hey, look, another example of him getting along with Republicans, because that's basically what he is, a moderate Republican.
They'd be going at it on the floor, and you think, oh, these guys must really, really, really dislike each other. And they'd be having dinner that night together.
We've always been willing, when we thought the other guy was right, cross the aisle and lock arms. It's good for the country.
It takes trust to get things done in a divided government. And I think with Joe Biden, his colleagues knew that your points were equally valid to him.
Even if a deal seemed out of reach, it was always Joe who tried to cross the aisle.
He was like a natural for that. He just had an ability to find the common ground, but never give up your principles.
That's because he has no principles.
For 3 decades, Joe was able to move his colleagues and find a way forward. On violence against women, banning chemical weapons, assault weapons,
opposing gay marriage, writing the crime bill, supporting the Patriot Act,
and controlling nuclear arms.
I cut out a huge segment about Joe Biden because I didn't find it that important.
I have always loved the sounds of a classroom, the quiet that sparks with possibility just before students shuffle in. The rooms are dark as the bright young faces that should fill them are now confined to boxes on a computer screen. I hear it from so many of you. The frustration of parents juggling work while they support their children's learning, or are afraid that their kids might get sick from school. The concern of every person working without enough protection. The despair in the lines that stretch out before food banks. And the indescribable sorrow that follows every lonely last breath when the ventilators turn off.
As a mother and a grandmother, as an American, I am heartbroken by the magnitude of this loss, by the failure to protect our communities, by every...
We found that love holds a family together.
No, I refuse to listen to any more of this.
Great job. God, I love it. How are you?
Hey, everyone. I'm Jill Biden's husband. As you heard tonight, excuse me, you can see why she's the love of my life.
Yes, I can. Skip.
Thank you so much for being a part of this night. As Dr. Biden just reminded us, Joe is a steady and experienced leader who can bring us together and help us heal, who will support us in getting better. Remember, we bend the arc of justice if we participate, if we vote. This moment isn't beyond you, it's up to you. Tomorrow night, we'll meet Joe Biden's choice for Vice President, Kamala Harris, and learn more about their vision for the future of our country.
Oh, good grief.
And we'll also hear from Senator Elizabeth Warren and President Barack Obama.
No, I don't want to hear it anymore. Goodbye.
I'm Mary Ann Buddy, Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Washington, D.C.
Enjoying your government-sponsored bailout?
And I'm honored to offer the benediction tonight. Hear these words from pastor, civil rights leader, and peace activist William Sloane Coffin. May God give you the grace never to sell yourself short.
God doesn't
exist. Grace to do something big for something good. Grace to remember that the world is too dangerous now for anything but truth.
Can you not smell the irony?
And too small for anything but love. And now may the blessing of God, the source of all goodness, truth, and love, inspire you, inspire us all to realize Dr. King's dream of the beloved community, Congressman Lewis's dream of a just society, President Lincoln's dream of a more perfect union.
On philosophy's dream of a wall separating church and state?
In this country, in our time. Amen.
Delegates and distinguished guests, having concluded this evening's convention program, we will stand in recess until tomorrow evening.